What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Mate with Hans Real Estate podcast. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Hans Weisfeld, real estate agent in Miami with Keller Williams. And today's guest, I'm so excited to have him here because I've been following him for quite some time. See, something that I really love about this guest that we're going to have today, he started real estate late 2015. In 2016, he was already a 2016 Rookie of the Year. I mean, he started real estate. He's going to talk to us a little bit about when he started. But in 2016, he was Rookie of the Year, and that means a lot. You know, he was already killing it from the get-go. So not only that, but he's number 3 agent, Keller Williams agent in all of Canada. In 2017 and 2018, he was also the number 1 agent in his Keller Williams office. So we have, definitely a star with us today. I'm super excited to have you here. Nate, thank you so much for being here with us today, man.
Thanks so much for having me, Hans. That was quite the intro, and I'm honored to be on your podcast here, and really looking forward to this.
Awesome, man. Yeah, Nate, I'm super excited. I've been definitely following you. I know you're super busy, so it wasn't too easy to get you on the show. I know you also were busy, and then you were moving. I know you sold a home and you bought another one for yourself. So
yeah,
and then the pandemic, everything we're going through. So anyway, thank you so much for taking your time, man. So
my pleasure.
Let's get right into it. Hey, I mean, there's a lot of agents that are gonna wanna, they wanna hear what you have done. Like, so let's get started and tell us. So again, you started real estate in late 2015 or mid 2015. In 2016, you're already Rookie of the Year. Like, how the hell did you do that? What happened?
So my first year in real estate, I started in right around this time 5 years ago. So kind of in the summer, and I think I did like 4 deals from that August till December, right? Through one was a buddy of mine who bought and sold with me, and another was, mostly acquaintances that I'd known kind of prior to getting into real estate. And then 2016 hit. It was like December, January, February. I wasn't much going on for me. I was like, trying to drum up business, and it was really kind of financially just needed to get stuff happening. Right? I was used to having a paycheck and relying on that, right? So I don't know. I just remember like my first 2 years in the business, I did open houses every single weekend I could, like long weekends, holidays, pretty much every weekend except for Christmas.
Right.
And I know when my first time starting out, if somebody was like, "Oh, let's go see a house," I'd be like, "Boom!" Doesn't matter if it's an hour away, 2 hours away,
love it.
Wherever it was, I'd like, "Let's go see it."
Let's go. Let's get it. Okay.
Let's go get it. Right. So I was really ambitious that way. And I knew I didn't really have a plan B or a fallback plan, if you will. So I was determined to somehow kind of make this work. And so I was door knocking, I was doing open houses. I kind of recognized early on that social media was going to be a big tool moving forward, especially for real estate and for realtors. And more important than that, I didn't have money to go out and buy bench signs and bus ads and all this other stuff that you might think you need to start a successful real estate career.
Right.
So I bunkered down on social media, and this was 15, 16. I don't even know if you were even spending money on ads at that point. And it was more just kind of organic following.
Just posting, just kind of awareness, brand awareness, just letting people know.
So I wasn't spending any money on it. So I always right from the get-go was kind of tried to make sure to run it as a business, and, to watch your expenses and, to watch your income and try and make sure you kind of balance it. Right. And I think starting out, that's really, really important. And even if you're a seasoned agent watching this, even now this year with COVID, I think, if anything, it just taught you to gave you more time to kind of look at your business, figure out ways where you could better spend money, or, maybe allot expenses differently based on what's getting you, what's the best investment of your time and money. Right. So, this year kind of gave us an opportunity to kind of look back and kind of reevaluate our business and figure out where we can kind of improve it. Right. And I think that you should always be doing that, with a business, whether you're new, successful, seasoned, you should always be constantly trying to learn and evolve. But when you kind of start getting caught up in it, it's hard to like,
take a break,
take
kind of
time
slow down,
away, take
and
a
then
break.
right.
Go learn this, because you kind of like, it's very like, you ride the wave. We've all been there. If you're in this industry, you get a new listing or you sell a house and it's like super exciting. But then there's going to be times where, you could go a few weeks or a month or whatever without, a slower time period, right? Where it's not as busy, right? And one of the things like I tried to focus on in my first year was, and it took a while to learn, was not to like be too high in the highs and too low in the lows. Just try and like, keep an even keel and just try and like be rational about things, and always be kind of, just trying to think about it and not being too hard on yourself if something doesn't go your way, or thinking you're king shit if you get something does go your way. You know what I mean?
So Nate, tell us a little bit about, I mean, you kind of jumped, from when you started 2016 to 2020, kind of like what's going on right now with your business. We'll definitely get into that. That'll definitely be a question I want to ask you. It's like, how has your business changed? But just for those agents that are new, right? Or those agents that are kind of just getting started and they want to know, like, damn, how did Nate, with no real estate background, tell us a little bit about, other than just doing open houses. I mean, because there's people that could do open houses every weekend, but, how, I believe you said you closed 28 deals, 20 something deals your first year?
I did. My 2016, I think I had sold 29 homes. That was my first full year.
So tell us about that. I mean, you're new in real estate, and that's more than most people do, even in the 10th year.
That was a life-changing year for me personally. I think that was the first year I realized, like, this is something that I really, really enjoy and I'm passionate about. And I think something that, is really a good fit for me professionally and personally. So that was a life-changing year for me. And I think, like, that year didn't happen overnight. Like, it was like months. It was like the tail end of 2015 building up to it. And then like doing the activities in January and February and March, right? Like doing that door knocking when it's colder in the winter here in Canada. Anyway, I don't know about Miami, but putting in those efforts, right? And so when I first started, before I got into real estate, I wasn't really much of a social media person. I didn't really do much on Instagram or Facebook. Like, I wasn't very active on it, but I knew that, to where I wanted to grow my business and leverage my business, I was going to have to improve on that.
Right.
One thing I kind of started to do kind of right away was just to, organically just try and reach out to people that I worked with or went to school with, or neighbors or acquaintances or friends or whatever the case may be. Right. Just kind of touch base with them. And I wasn't like blowing them up, like, buy a house with me or sell a house with me. It was more like, hey, we haven't spoken in a while. Like, how's it going?
So just connecting, just trying to connect with past influence, people you went to school with, co-workers, whatever. Just connect with people.
Yeah. Because one of the things you've probably heard of before is you don't want to be a secret agent, right?
Absolutely. There you go.
A lot of, everybody, when they think of you or when they think of real estate, you want to kind of be synonymous, right? So that's kind of where I tried to build my brand right away, was just trying, work your sphere, provide value, whether it be through content or showing the listings online or photos, and, information about the neighborhood. One thing I did, not in my first year, but in my second or third year, I did a series of videos on like local businesses.
Awesome.
And, showcase them. And it was nothing to do with me or real estate, but it was just
kind of the neighborhood, kind of like farming,
kind of showing off the lifestyle and showcasing local businesses and amenities. And people really liked that. And, it's kind of at the same time, kind of positioning yourself as the neighborhood expert, right? I live and work in an area where I'm 33 now. I've been here since I was like 8 or 9 years old. I went to elementary school here. I went to high school here, university here, worked every job under the sun here before real estate. So I was fortunate to have a lot of, a lot of connections that
Right,
way.
right, right, right.
Kind of growing up, right? So I think that was kind of beneficial for me, as opposed
Absolutely.
to just kind of like, if you were to just drop me in some random city or state where I didn't necessarily have that, it would be tougher for sure, right? So I think that was definitely very valuable for
Hey
me.
Nate, so let me ask you. So when you're, let's say, going out door knocking, doing open houses, do you get like people walking in that you know and like you haven't seen in years? You're like, oh shit, I haven't seen you in like 10 years. What's going on?
Yeah, man.
I'm saying, because if it's a small neighborhood, or like not a small neighborhood, I'm sorry, I don't know the size of your neighborhood, but if you kind of
Yeah.
grew up there, you did everything there, I'm assuming.
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, just this morning, I moved to the area I'm in now in 1995, and like the first kid I met, probably my first friend I ever had when I moved here, I was 8-9 years old. We just listed his house this morning. Someone who I've known, we've been childhood friends with for that long.
That's
And we
beautiful,
know,
man.
like, we always stay connected over the years, you know what I mean? But, people get caught up with life and stuff like that.
Of course.
It's funny how you can just kind of like, you meet back up with them, you kind of pick right back up from where you left off, right?
Yeah, that happens to me too, man. It's awesome. It's like, damn, it's like, if like, did you ever think when you were a little kid hanging out with this person, in the future, you're going to sell them a house or help them buy a house or whatever it is, it's
I
like,
know.
Life is crazy where it can take us.
Pretty surreal. Yeah.
So do you think like a lot of these, childhood friends, high school friends, college, university, past co-workers, I'm sure you're getting a lot of deals from this past, this influence, your sphere of influence. So do you think it's from connecting to social media, them seeing you on, Facebook, on Instagram? Do you reach out to them via email? How are you, what's your strategy?
I think it's a combination of both, right? Because I think that there's a sphere of influence, but at least with my case anyway, you could make the argument that a big portion of your sphere of influence, they're only really day-to-day or like monthly or annual like communication with you is through these social media platforms. So like a social, like your Facebook or your Instagram is almost like an extension of yourself. And it's a way that we as people more than ever these days are kind of communicating with each other.
I agree.
So I think it's a combination of both, right? I think that the social media, I very early on realized that it was you could leverage it for both. Sure, it's great for the agent and getting your name out there, but if you're getting exposure for your listings and your sellers, like that's almost even better than, I think it's better than advertising the agent. You know what I mean? Because especially nowadays when you can see how many thousands of views or how long they watch the video for, you can literally track everything online. So I think that those kind of tangible numbers now are kind of more, relevant or important than ever, right? Because
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think any agent can list a property on MLS, put a sign up out front, and kind of hope it sells, right? And depending on the market, it could sell. It could still go over asking, depending on the market, right? But I think that a properly marketed home that's marketed on as many platforms as possible will always generate the best results for the sellers. And I think that they can see value, the seller or the consumer can really see value in doing that, right? And
that's awesome, man. So because man, I see you're listing homes like, I don't know, man. It looks like you're listing a home every single day. That's what it seems like on social media. I mean, I know you're killing it, but at least perception is reality. Like that's what I see. I'm sure that's what your clients see, that's what people that see, that are looking at your social media, which is a great thing, right? So again, but tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's your strategy? Are people reaching out to you just because they see you so much already, Nate? They see you, all over the place. They're reaching out. Are you still?
Yeah. So I think that my business, I've been able to grow it year over year since I started. To like where last year I think I sold 72 homes, right? So I've been able to grow it year over
by your
individual agent. Yeah.
72 homes, man. That's amazing. Congrats on that.
So, but it's kind of like gotten bigger each year, right? Because every time I work with a buyer or seller or anybody, client, I want them to have like a 5-star experience. I want them to have the best possible experience. You know what I mean? So that when, their friends or family or anybody else they know are looking for an agent, they can't wait to refer them my name because of the great experience they had with me. Right.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
sometimes that means spending a lot more time on the phone or walking through things or showing 150 homes or whatever you got
So,
to
yeah,
do.
tell me
Right?
tell me a little bit about that. I'm sure agents are curious to know. So you did 72 homes, and
Mm-hmm.
you're an individual agent, and you're giving, you're providing, 5-star services. You're providing you're giving it your all, right? You're giving it your all
Yeah.
to your customers. How are you finding the time to leverage, to be on the phones, to show properties, to do search? How are you doing everything? Tell me a little bit of, of give me some tips for those agents that maybe have like
So,
10 properties and they're feeling overwhelmed.
right.
How are you doing at 72?
Right. So I think a lot of it comes down to, scheduling and time blocking, obviously. And, I tend to generally prioritize, things that are like really super important and need to be done like right away. And then work my way kind of through that to the stuff, not to say to push stuff off forever. Right. But,
Right.
I really try to prioritize things because as you know, in this industry, things can be changing on the daily. Like I could have a house come up on a Monday morning that's my client's dream house and they need to see it Monday afternoon or evening. I couldn't have planned for that the week before. You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
So I've learned to try and like schedule things, but if you have to remove it or replace it or what I mean, tweak it, just try
Right.
and make sure you're prioritizing the stuff that needs to be done first. And really, if you look at it, if you're in your first year in the industry or in your second year in the industry, you really should be tracking everything you're doing, how much time you're spending doing what you're doing, what results are you getting as of that time and that effort, and then kind of reviewing it quarterly or semi-annually or annually, seeing where you can make improvements. Because even people that are running a super lean, efficient, successful business, there's always going to be room for improvement. And I think if you can actually figure out like what your time's worth as an agent,
I love
how
that.
much time you work,
Right.
what's your income minus your expenses. Pretty easy to figure that out. And if you can pay somebody else less money than what you earn yourself to do that position or that task for less money or better or more effectively than you would do it personally, to me, it's a
Absolutely.
no-brainer on
Absolutely.
outsourcing.
So
Right?
tell me a little bit of so what do you have people doing? Like people are helping you do what kind of things?
So I work with so I have a full-time, well, she's part-time but full as much time as I need her assistant.
Awesome.
Basically that I pay her a very good hourly wage, but she's experienced, she knows what she's doing with this kind of stuff. And if I have a really crazy busy week, she's there to work those increased hours. If I have a little bit of a slower, not so crazy week, it's not like I have to find stuff for her to do
Right.
for 10
Right.
20 hours is to fill up the 40 hours. So I ran it pretty lean that way. And then I work with like a staging company, a social media company, a photographer company. So I operate, I operate as an individual agent.
Right. Right. Right.
Still a team.
But
There's
you
still a
just do it
team
smart.
behind.
You do it smart. No, of course, it makes total sense what you said. Like, if it costs you this, if it costs you this much money to, let's say, hire a photographer or social media for you to be posting, and you could with that money, with that time, you could go and lead generate or do other things that are gonna give you more money. It's like, why not hire someone to do such things? So
Yeah.
it totally makes sense. I mean, that's how most
Yeah.
individual agents that are doing that volume, I'm guessing that's what they're all doing, right?
They're,
There's no way to
they're
do.
doubling and tripling down on the high income activities, right? Like the stuff that generates them the most business. And it's not even necessarily all about earning an income. Maybe you have a set goal on income, but you want to leverage your time better. You're
Right. I
happy
like.
with what you're making, but you want to do that in 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 hours a week instead of, more
70,
customers,
80. No, you're so
right?
right. Mm-hmm.
Getting more efficient, right? Because and that's, again, a lot of that kind of comes back to leveraging your time. And I think in real estate, it's easy to kind of get caught up in the momentum and the hustle and the bustle of things, and almost forget like the profit and loss statement sheet at the end of the month, right? Like it's a business, like, and you know, sure, it's great to have really high GCIs and all these things. Like we, especially at Keller Williams, you see some massive teams doing some fantastic things. That's like, I strive to be like that one day. But at the same time, I'm not like, I'm looking at my business and looking at it going into this year. Like I don't have like, I was able, like, a lot of my expenses are when I'm busy. So like when I'm having lots of listings,
Right.
and when I've got lots of stuff on the go, right? It's not like I have some massive expensive office that I'm paying down every month, and then this and that and the other, right? Like that's just adding up kind of every month. So
No, it makes sense. You're kind of being smart with your expenses, right? It depends how busy you are. You're gonna probably do extra things and have extra
yeah,
expenses. And if you're not so busy, you might cut off some things, right?
right. And I've just kind of built it to be like, just always with that in mind, right? Because I when I first started, I kind of went to more experienced agents in my office and asked them about all like the bus ads and this, that, and the other, and they gave me their honest opinion. And I'm not knocking anybody who does that. I think that static marketing, anything you see on like billboards and stuff like that, I do think it is effective if you've built a brand, in a business to surround it. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
I don't think you can just go buy a billboard.
It's got to be everything, right? It's got to be that. It's got to
Right.
be the social, everything together.
Yeah.
They got to see you everywhere, not just one time on the highway.
Yeah. So I think that's
get
like
you.
the more of like the final last step, right? And I think there's maybe a general misconception that you have to have all that stuff to start, And
Yeah, no way, man.
yeah, there's enough expenses starting out in real estate. You don't need to like add more and more to it, right? So
let me ask you, Nate, during what time in your career were you like, okay, I need to hire, like an assistant. I need or that first person that you hire, what was that like?
So that would have been in my second year. So probably I would say late 2016, right around the time I started to kind of get busy and realize, okay, if I can keep this up, I can afford an assistant.
Right.
And if I can't, I'll let them know up front that, this is only going to last as long as this works. You know what I mean? Fortunately, I had enough to pay her like 3 months or something, you know what I mean? But I knew kind of starting out, I didn't want her like to feel like the sole provider for her income. So she works with some other agents in my office too.
Right.
Which kind of took a little bit off my shoulders. I'm not
Makes
like,
sense.
yeah, you know what I mean? So, because it can be a sporadic business, right? But that was a huge thing for me, because what I was doing is I was spending a lot of time doing tedious tasks like signatures and just like all the electronic,
Admin
all the
work, all
fun
the
back,
admin
all
work,
the
right?
admin back stuff, right? That was just, she does it in 15 minutes way better than I'll do it in an hour. So, you know what I mean? So it was just like, as soon as I realized that, like,
That's so awesome.
because I'm pretty, like, I don't know, I'm pretty hands-on with my business. It's hard for me to let go. I can admit that. I still like to be there every time we're taking photos and video of a listing and that, that kind of stuff. But,
Right.
I'm very hands-on with it, but I think the aha moment for me was like, this is actually more efficient and this is actually better for my clients doing this thing than myself, right? Like I'm not the interior design expert. I kind of have a general idea of what people like to see these days, and watch enough HGTV, but I'm not an expert in that, right? So I stick to what I'm kind of good at, and it even comes back to geographical area. I don't drive 3 hours away to show houses, in an area where I'm not quite familiar with.
Right.
Just because I feel like if the client's better served working with an agent that knows that area better, I think you'll go far in this business as long as you realize that like the client, you put their needs and before everybody else's, and you just kind of, you know, do the best job you can for them, and you know, you'll succeed in this business. So
That's awesome, man. I appreciate. I can definitely appreciate that, man. That's where it comes down to, right? I mean, we're providing a service, and like you said, the more you can focus on that agent. I mean, sorry, the more you can focus, you know, on your client, then, you know, the better service you can provide them, which in turn they will be able to refer you to their friends and family. And that's probably
yeah.
how you know, that's what you're saying, that you're getting most of your business. So that's awesome. So you don't really sit there and like lead generate or spend time like do any more open houses like you. So right now, like business is like coming to you. Is that
Yeah.
how
So
that's awesome.
um I had a few pillars. So I had Sphere, social media, and open houses are probably my main sources of business. This year, I don't know how it is in Florida where you are, but open houses haven't been allowed really since COVID. They just announced, I think, that we're doing a phase 3 where you can start to do them. I personally haven't started to do them yet. I just kind of want to see, I don't know, how things kind of play out.
Right.
But our market is insane here right now. We went up like 10% in the month of June here.
Wow.
And it's similar thing in July. So the market's just shooting up. Values are just shooting up. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard to, you know, I think open houses will come back. I just think they'll be like different. You know what I mean? I don't know, until we get this.
So, but right before the pandemic, you were still doing open houses. Like you're 50 year in, and you know, you've
Yeah.
always
Oh
done
yeah.
open houses. Like that's one of your main lead
Yeah.
generation sources,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
sphere of influence, open houses, social media, and
Social media.
you
Yeah.
always
And like referrals, right, from your past clients. Because I'm 33 now. So when I was starting out, I was working with a lot of people, you know, around my age that were buying their first house.
right.
And in our market now, if you bought your first house 3 to 5 years ago, it's probably worth a few $100,000 more
Wow,
than when you bought it with me,
that's
right?
awesome.
So
That is
a
awesome.
lot of these first-time home buyers, kind of depending on when you got in the market, you
They
could
all
be
have
sitting.
equity.
They all have great
So
equity.
you've been building your friends and family, you know, some wealth, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's always super rewarding when you see a client do well, you know, get the right home, but then just knowing like that it was a financially sound investment. I can actually say right now, I've helped probably like 250 people buy and sell homes. I don't think there's one home that right now today wouldn't sell for more money than what we bought it for. Not one. So like all my clients are winning. That makes me happy. And, you know, and it'll be interesting to see how things kind of move forward. Cause I don't know. How's your market there in Miami right now?
I mean, it's Miami right now. It's really really hot. I actually seen a article a few weeks ago that says 70% of the country is like really really hot right now, the market. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing Canada is too. I mean, from May to June, and right now in July, it just like jumped up like crazy. Of course,
Yeah.
we had like 2 slow months with the pandemic. Like right now in our price range, you know, $300,000-400,000 price range here is really 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 hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, just like over there, you put a house in the market, and if it's, you know, if it's well priced and it's a nice home, it's gonna get a bunch of offers, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Especially that affordable price point stuff. We have very little inventory and huge demand here right now.
right, that's what's
So
going on.
it's every week I'm hearing of a property get 20, 30 offers on it. So 120, 150,000 over asking. I just sold one last week,
Insane.
88,000 over asking. It's
80.
insane, man.
That I mean, that's awesome for your clients, man. I mean, because you know you're
It's good for
providing.
sellers, but I work with buyers too, right? So it's depending on who you ask. Some people are thrilled and others not so much, right? So, but that's the real estate market for you. I think it's like the best thing you can invest in. You can't. What else can you live in? It'll appreciate, you know, while you're
There's
in it.
there's so much
Like,
positive things, so much
you
positive
know,
things, man.
it's crazy, right?
Especially for
So,
young people. You know, I'm 29. I had to think. I forget how old I was. I'm 29. You know, and you know, just like kind of like when you started. You know, kind of pretty much the same age, and
mhm.
it's like, hey, like all the people my age is like we got to invest. You got to start now because, you know, it's the smartest thing you can do because no matter what happens to the market, it's always going to go up. Doesn't matter if it drops a little bit or something does end up happening. Nobody really knows, but it always goes back up, right? It's always appreciated.
Long-term linear, yes, because the population's growing and they're not making any more land, right? So
Exactly, Nate. So
20,
you know,
30,
man.
40 years from now, it's all going to be worth more no matter, you know, it's going to do dips and stuff in the interim. But if you look at like the last 100, I'm sure it's the same all across the board in North America.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you look at the last 100 years, I think it's like 5% a year on average. And that's like going through like Great Depressions, World Wars, COVID pandemics, right?
Right. The 2008,
You know, there's
2009
always going to
crash.
be,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's always going to be good years and bad years. But I even tell my clients, I'm like, if the market dips, unless you sell your market at that exact point,
Right.
it's not like your house is getting smaller or any less useful or,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? So,
and at the end of the day, if you didn't buy, you're renting and you're throwing money away.
And then you're losing for sure every time, right?
So again, especially right now, the interest rate's so low, and then all these, there's so much positive things right now, man. So Nate, tell us a tip for you know, agents, new agents, and you know, and seasoned agents. You know, what are some things that you see other agents do that, you know, you want to share some tips?
So some tips that I have for new or seasoned or any agents in general.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So for myself, I think tracking your numbers and your stats and what you're doing is huge. So you can always improve. There's always going to be room for improvement. And you know, if you're at a point in your business where you feel like you're not as busy as you want to be, you need to kind of work on your mindset and look at that as an opportunity, because you know, a new agent starting out who doesn't have as much on the go compared to like, you know, an agent who's 5, 10, 20 years in and much busier at that point, like the new agents actually got an advantage because they've got a lot more time on their hands to lead generate, right? So if you're looking at it and you're in real estate and you're like, I'm not busy enough, I'm not working as much, like you can literally lead generate anytime you want within reason. You're not going to want to contact people at 3 in the morning and stuff like that, but like you can do it daily, weekends, like any, you know, you can figure out something that works for you, something that you enjoy, you know, whether it's door knocking safely from 10 feet away, or, you know, becoming savvy with social media and doing videos to engage with your audience, or you know, some people are even into cold calling, or you know, just generally just providing value, and you know, trying to have as many conversations about real estate with people who are interested in having conversations about real estate. That's really what it all boils down to. And you know, you hear it all the time. I think there's one of the most significant common denominators with successful people in any industry is hard work. Okay, if it, you know, everybody wants to be at the top, but you know, nobody wants to put in the work to
Put
get
in the
there,
hard work.
right?
That's so true, man. I agree.
You know, so you might have to grind, like you might have to grind for you know, a few years, or you know, it's always a grind. I feel like I'm still grinding because
hard work and being consistent,
year,
man. I mean,
every year you start over at zero again. And if you try and think of next year, like if your goal is to sell 50 houses or whatever it is, and yours like, you know, sitting 3 months out from 2021 thinking like, how am I going to, you know, what 50 people am I going to sell their house? You know, you just need to like be steady, be intentional with your, you know, your commitments and your actions, and you will reap the results of that labor, right? You just got to be, it's not a short-term game with this. It's like, you know, you might have to door knock for a year before it starts to work for you. You might have to, you know, even if you sell a house in your first day as a realtor, you're not getting paid $1 probably for 2-3 months, at least in my market anyway,
right?
Because it's like a 60 to 90 day closing and all that kind of stuff, right? So you really got to be able to, like, you know, think ahead. And I always try and look at it as like, you know, the hard work now is kind of going to determine, in our industry, it's going to determine, you know, how you're doing 3 months, 4 months from now, right? So 3-4 months from now, if you're not as busy or not happy with where you're at with your business, you can look back probably and point to a few months prior where, you took an extra week vacation, or you didn't, you kind of let go on some things, right? And everybody
Love
kind of
it.
does it. And
Yeah,
sometimes
man.
you gotta take a break and unplug. You can't always be on go, go, go. But yeah, I think that, try and find what works for you and what you enjoy, and try and bring value to anybody that you are speaking with or engaging with on a regular basis, right? And, as long as you do that, I think you've got the best recipe for success in this business.
Love it, man. That's super valuable, man. Super valuable tip. Hard work. Be consistent. I mean, you've been doing open houses, you said, for 5 years, man. So that's and especially one thing that I like about what you said is that you're focused, or at least when you were lead generating, on those three main sources, right? Like your sphere of influence, your social media, and your open houses, right? Like you're
Yeah.
focused on that. And like Keller Williams teaches the 1-3-5, right? And that's, you had
Yeah.
like your three and then you have to have 5 strategies. I'm sure you have your strategies behind that, but definitely, I see a lot of agents that are kind of all over the place or that don't know what to do. So like
Yeah.
in your case, it's super valuable, man. Just you have your three main sources for lead generation. You focus
Yeah.
on them, and and even your first, second, and third year, you've been killing it. Now it's you're in your 5th year, and I mean, what's your
Hopefully I
projection?
can keep it up.
I'm sure you can, man. I'm sure you can. Like you said, hard
Yeah.
work and consistency pays off. Not everyone in the industry is doing all the things that you're doing. Um, and definitely, I love what you lastly said. Is like, hey, if you feel like you're not busy, you're not progressing, look back, see what you were doing 3-4 months ago, and you'll realize why you're probably slow or whatever. So if you feel that
Absolutely.
way right now,
Absolutely.
you better get started, because it's gonna take another 3-4 months for you,
For
which
sure.
I freaking
For
love, man.
sure.
I love that. I love that.
And
And
I think that the first year is always the hardest in real estate, as in a lot of careers and industries. But if you can get through that first year and make it, and still, feel like it's a good fit for you, and want to get up and put in the work every day, then I think you're onto something. So, it can be a very rewarding career, as I'm sure both, time, personal growth, financial, all of those things, right?
everything.
But I just, the thing I think I like the most is just, I really enjoy what I do. And it's like, it's not boring. I've had boring, mundane jobs before that you count the minutes down until you're out of the building and done. And it just,
That's
like, the
so
time
true.
just like crept by. And I didn't even think about it at the time, but I realized, like, I was essentially just, my time is a commodity. I was just exchanging it for, $1 or whatever, whatever the hourly wage was at the time. Right. And I found it very, very hard to get ahead that way, because, there's only so much time in the day. Right. Where, in real estate, it's like, if you want to double your income, you might have to put in 4 times the amount of work, but you can work as much as you want
Right.
in
The
this
potential is
industry.
there. The potential
There's
is
no
there.
ceiling.
Yeah, man.
There's no ceiling, man. So, um,
That's so true, man. So
yeah.
rewarding. Absolutely. Man, it's been awesome, man. We're gonna finish off, Nate, with some fun questions. All right. So we
All right,
finish this
let's do
fun.
it.
Let's go into it. So let's see, Nate. What is the best place you've ever been to?
The best place I've ever traveled to? Oh man, I really liked for like a vacation. I liked Costa Rica, and I think for like a life experience, I've been to Africa for like 10 years ago, and that
Wow.
was like life experience. That was probably the coolest. But I think if I was like, you get to spend a week anywhere, just like dream vacation, like Costa Rica is
Costa Rica, you
beautiful.
loved it? That's
Oh,
beautiful,
if you
man. I
ever get the
want
chance to go,
Yeah,
man, it's
man.
stunning. Yeah.
Tamarino, right? Tamarino is a famous spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go, man. I want to go. I'm all about beaching and nature. I know there's a lot of mountains and palm
Yeah.
trees and waves, surf.
We got
Beautiful,
that in
man.
Miami though, right? So
Kind of. It's so. We got the beach and everything else, but definitely not Costa Rica. Man.
yeah.
Awesome, man. What were you like in high school, man?
What was I like in high school? Oh man, that's a great question. Honestly, man, I was kind of like I think a lot of people now seeing me in real estate might look back and think I was like, I don't know, maybe some popular kid in high school or something. I really wasn't. I think I was, you know, people probably like when sometimes I'll see them and be like, oh yeah, you went to my high school. I don't know. I was kind of quiet, man. I was kind of quiet in high school.
Yeah, right. Don't lie to
I had
me.
a lot of friends and stuff. I'd be like totally open with them and stuff, but I wasn't like, you know, I think at times when I'm comfortable with people, I could be like that, you know, really social. But then, you know, in other circumstances, if I didn't, you know, they were newer stuff, I might be more reserved. So yeah, that's an interesting question. I wasn't expecting that one.
That's cool, man.
I
I feel
wasn't the coolest kid in school, definitely not. So
I feel similar to that. So pretty much, you know, you were yourself. You had your group of friends, friendly, open, like
yeah.
nothing crazy, not like the class clown, also not like the nerdy.
No, I don't know. I was kind of like just the middle of the pack. I like sports, but I was never like a super athlete by any means. So, you know, I'd try out for the team, but I'd probably be on the bench, you know, so.
Last question, man. Last question. Would you rather, if you had superpowers, would you rather be able to speak all languages or speak to all animals?
Ooh. The realtor in me is gonna say, I love animals. I have 2 dogs, but the realtor in me is gonna say, if I could speak all languages, that would look pretty good on a business card. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Nate, it's been a freaking pleasure having you, man. You've dropped a lot of
Awesome, bro.
value. It's really been amazing. And again, thank you so much for taking your time to be here with us today and sharing all your tips and your knowledge and dropping all these bombs all the way from Ontario, Canada.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great chatting with you, man. And keep up the great work. Love your podcast here, and hope your audience and followers got something out of this today. And if anybody has any questions or anything, reach out to Hans or myself, and yeah, we'd be happy with that anytime.
Everyone
All
listening,
right, bro.
go follow Nate. His Instagram is Nate
Real Estate
underscore
Nate.
Real Estate Nate. I was gonna say Nate.
Yeah.
Real
No,
Estate Nate.
Real Estate Nate. That's easy to remember, bro.
Real Estate Nate. Love it. So easy. Go
All right.
follow him. Go check out what he's doing. He's killing it up there in Toronto. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone who joined and watched it. Until next week.